24 centuries ago, a Greek traveler stood before a building he believed surpassed the pyramids themselves. Herodotus described 12 roof courts, 3,000 chambers, and corridors so tangled that visitors required guides to find their way out. His account reads like us struggling to find words. Other ancient writers confirmed it. Strabo, Pliny, Diodorus. For centuries, this labyrinth was celebrated across the Mediterranean world. Then it vanished, not buried by volcano, not razed in war. Over generations, it was stripped for building materials until almost nothing remained above ground. Today, archaeologists have identified a leading candidate for its location. What might still lie beneath that sand remains an open question. Before examining the ruins, we need to understand what the ancients actually claimed and what they meant by their words. Here's something essential. When ancient writers said labyrinth, they weren't describing a puzzle maze. They meant a monumental complex, overwhelming in scale, difficult to navigate, unlike anything else they had encountered. The earliest detailed account comes from Herodotus, writing around 440 BC. In his histories, he describes visiting a structure near Lake Moeris in the Fayum region of Egypt. He reported 12 roof courts, 1,500 rooms above ground, 1,500 below, passages that twisted endlessly. Herodotus carried a mixed reputation even in antiquity. Praised as a father of history, dismissed by some as a father of lies. His numbers may well be inflated, but should we dismiss him entirely? Consider this. He wasn't alone. Strabo, writing around 20 AD, described a complex of many palaces near the Pyramid of a King. He called him Mana, a name scholars connect to Amenemhat III. Pliny the Elder, around 77 AD, listed 4 famous labyrinths: Egypt, Crete, Lemnos, Italy. He called the Egyptian one stupendous. Diodorus Siculus noted that visitors couldn't exit without a guide, and suggested the structure may have inspired the legendary architect Daedalus himself. For writers, spanning 4 centuries, describing the same general location, that pattern deserves investigation. The strongest candidate lies 90 kilometers south of Cairo, Hira. Today it's silent, a crumbling pyramid, endless sand. But this is precisely where ancient sources place a labyrinth. The pyramid belonged to Amenemhat III, a 12th dynasty pharaoh who ruled around 1860 to 1814 BC. In 1888, British archaeologist Flinders Petrie began excavating just south of that pyramid. What he uncovered was substantial. Foundations stretching roughly 385 by 158 meters. Fragments of columns, shrines, statues, cartouches bearing Amenemhat's name carved into stone. Petrie's conclusion: this was a mortuary temple complex, a ceremonial structure serving the pharaoh's cult. Grand architecture, not a supernatural maze. But here's the obstacle that stopped him. The water table had risen over millennia. The foundations were flooded. Petrie couldn't dig deeper. Neither has anyone since. What lies below? That question remains unanswered. When most people hear labyrinth, they picture something else entirely. Knossos, on Crete, the mythological prison of the Minotaur. The beast Theseus slew using Ariadne's thread. Excavated by Arthur Evans between 1900 and 1935, Knossos revealed a sprawling Minoan palace. Winding corridors, hundreds of rooms, vivid bull imagery throughout. It's easy to understand why visitors might have called it maze-like, but there's no archaeological evidence of a literal monster, a literal trap, or a literal Daedalus. Knossos is real. The labyrinth story is myth layered onto architecture. Pliny also referenced labyrinths on Lemnos in Italy, the latter allegedly a tomb for Etruscan king Lars Porsena. Archaeological evidence for both remains weak to non-existent, mentioned here for completeness, not as serious candidates. Let's separate ancient claims from verified archaeology. First myth: 3,000 rooms, an endless maze. Reality: Herodotus reported these figures, but acknowledged he never entered the lower chambers himself. Archaeology confirms a large mortuary temple. Impressive, not infinite. Second myth: a hidden underground city. Reality. Geophysical scans have detected anomalies beneath Hora, but an anomaly is not a confirmed structure. Without excavation, we cannot know what's actually there. Third myth, the Minotaur was real. Reality. Bull imagery was central to Minoan culture, but no evidence supports a man-eating creature. The Minotaur is myth, vivid, symbolic, not historical. Fourth myth, aliens, Atlantis, a hall of records. Reality. These claims circulate widely online. No credible archaeological, geological, or textual evidence supports any of them. The real story needs no embellishment. A structure built nearly 4,000 years ago, gradually stripped across centuries, still partly buried. That's extraordinary enough. Let's anchor this in time. Around 1860 to 1814 BC, Amenemhat, the third construct, is pyramid and adjacent mortuary complex at Hora. Around 440 BC, Herodotus visits, record what he observes, and what he's told he cannot see. From around 50 BC to 77 AD, Diodorus, Strabo, and Pliny each describe the site. Parts remain visible, or at least their ruins do. In subsequent centuries, the complex is gradually quarried, stone blocks repurposed, mud brick erodes. In 1843, German Egyptologist Lepsius surveys the site. In 1888 to 1889, Petrie excavates, links the ruins definitively to Amenemhat III. From 1900 to 1935, Evans excavates Knossos, a separate site, separate culture, but the mythological overlap creates lasting confusion. From 2008 to present, geophysical surveys report subsurface anomalies, none verified through excavation. A word on misinformation. You may encounter claims that a secret 2025 excavation uncovered the labyrinth, hidden chambers, ancient technology, suppressed findings. As of this recording, no credible institution has confirmed any such discovery. No peer-reviewed publication supports these claims. If verified evidence emerges, we'll cover it. Until then, it remains speculation. The same applies to Atlantis theories, Edgar Cayce's Hall of Records, and extraterrestrial construction claims. No archaeological basis exists. Where does serious archaeology stand today? Over recent decades, researchers have applied non-invasive scanning, ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity tomography, VLFEM surveys. A 2010 study using VLFEM reported anomalies consistent with possible subsurface features. Subsequent surveys identified similar patterns, voids, density variations, formations that might represent walls. But here's what matters. Scans suggest something may exist. They cannot determine what. Confirmation requires excavation, and at Hora, excavation remains exceptionally difficult. The water table sits just meters below the surface. Pumping is expensive, often ineffective. The site carries protection status. Permits are challenging to secure. Current scholarly consensus. Hora represents the best match for the Egyptian labyrinth described by ancient writers. Ancient accounts, likely exaggerated, appear to reference a real structure. Subsurface anomalies exist but remain unverified. No excavation has confirmed Herodotus's lower chambers. That's not defeat. That's scholarship acknowledging its present limits, while leaving the door open. What remains unknown? What lies beneath the waterlogged ground? Natural geology, collapsed debris, or intact architecture? How much did Herodotus embellish? Tenfold, or perhaps less than we assume? Why was the complex stripped so thoroughly over centuries? Could advancing technology eventually reach what Petrie's shovels never could? No major excavation is currently scheduled, but scholarly interest persists. Remote sensing technology continues to advance. The labyrinth may yet have something left to reveal. The Lost Labyrinth is not fantasy. It's not Atlantis. It's a structure described by multiple ancient historians, partially excavated by modern archaeologists, and still partly buried beneath Egyptian sand. The evidence strongly suggests it existed. What remains, if anything, is a question only future excavation can resolve. If you want to follow this story as findings are verified, subscribe. And tell us, do you think the lower chambers are still down there, or were the stories already growing the telling? Stay curious. Stay skeptical. Some answers are still waiting in the ground.